Hey, what's up, y'all? Thank you for tuning in to Rebirth Podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the other side of therapy from a therapist's perspective. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to tonight's video.
Out of the ashes we will soar to a destiny we can't ignore. Heartbeats echo through the night with every dream and endless flight. Together strong, let's break the mold. Our rebirth and stories told. It's time to renew, rebuild, restore. Unlock the dreams we've been waiting for. Rise up higher, more and more. With every breath, a new dawn's roar.
Happy Monday. Welcome to Rebirth Podcast. I'm your host, Shea Marriott.
And I am Corey Wilkerson, a.k.a. The Thinker.
I love that you've embraced that.
I had to. Y'all wasn't going to let me. I get hit from you, hit from my mom.
That's right.
I gotta do it.
That's right. What's up? What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy this weather is kind of stabilized a little bit. We are going to have like a 59-degree day at some point this week, but
okay,
I'm enjoying the weather though.
Yes.
Get back out walking. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know
Great.
That feels good.
Yes.
Is that how you start your mornings now?
For the most part, I try to. But you know what? It depends on the temperature. Sometimes it's like colder in the morning, or it's like a little windy. But I try to.
Okay.
At least by 11 o'clock.
And the jump roping.
Yeah, I've been trying to this jump rope thing, but it definitely is a full body workout though.
Yeah.
I like the jump rope thing though.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was on my jump roping kick during the pandemic.
Oh, was you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you couldn't go nowhere.
We couldn't go nowhere, man. I grabbed my rope. I would go out front and get it in and everything. But yeah, you're right, because you don't realize that your whole body. But look, as kids, we didn't feel that
at all,
right? Because I was a double dutcher. I used to jump. Yeah.
You know how to turn?
Do I know how to turn? Yeah, no, to turn and jump.
Okay.
Yeah, I did the whole rock.
Okay. Yeah.
And then jumped in.
Yeah. I used to turn too, just to get the girls. Yeah.
Okay.
The girls was there.
Oh, you had to see. You had
It's a strategy.
Okay.
Corey, you know how to turn? Yeah.
I can't with you.
I'm gonna learn though.
You did
lean
the rock
in.
too?
Yeah, you gotta lean in. Yeah, absolutely. That's where the girls was at. You know what I mean? I ain't jumped though, but I did the turn. Yeah.
Okay.
Helping them practice.
You're so kind and
try to
thoughtful.
be.
Right.
Try to be.
Welcome to Rebirth Podcast. You could be anywhere tonight, but you decide to be with us, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in. If you have not done so yet, please like, share, and subscribe, and share tonight's video with somebody that may be considering therapy.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about the other side of therapy from a therapist's perspective.
Yes. So getting on the other side of the table, guess who the therapist is here? You.
Okay.
You. I'm on the other side of the table. I'm being therapized. Right. So, so
that sounds like you're going to be interviewing me.
A little bit.
We're going to have dialogue.
You have a good way of shifting it back, though.
That's right.
You're really good at that.
That's what I do.
That's your profession.
That's what I do.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You go to Shea with a problem, she's going to sit you down. So talk to me more about, damn, how did I get stuck here?
You know what? Oh, that's how you really be feeling.
No, that's not how I feel, but I enjoy it once I sit down.
The truth comes out, right?
Hey, man, you got to tell these therapists off. These are the people that walk around with your business in their pocket. You know what I mean? But it's good stuff, though. I think it's important. I know you. This year the theme has been healing.
Yes.
I think it's important not only that we kind of talk about the moments where we need to heal,
right?
But I think it's important to get the therapist side of what therapy is like, right? And some of the things that happen, not actual situation, but I think it's important to say, like, when do you recognize that you should go to therapy?
Yeah.
Some of the success stories that may come out of therapy.
Right.
I think we talk a lot about why we should go. It's hard, but I think we're normalizing it a little bit better. But I don't know if we always hear the good news about therapy. I think that's important to help people go.
Okay. All right. Well, we will definitely get into it. Before we do, I know we got a little hot topic we want to talk about tonight, right?
Yeah. So Marvelous Marvin Sapp. Right. I thought this was super interesting on many levels. So obviously you all know it's been a topic and a lot of memes going out about Marvin Sapp wanting a certain amount of money from the congregation that he was in front of. I don't know if that was his church or where that was, but he told the ushers to close the door. Close the doors. No, close the doors. That's how he was saying it. You know what I mean? Close the doors, right?
Like he's serious about it.
Yeah, like close the doors. And I think the ask, if don't quote me, but I think it was like $40,000 was the ticket that he was asking for.
Okay.
And I don't remember why he was asking for that. I think it had to do with a certain type of ministry, and I could have got that backwards, so don't quote me on that. But I think the thing that caught fire on the internet is him asking not only for the amount of money he was asking for, the time that we're in, right? Yeah. But also close the door.
Close the door.
Close the door, right? Which it also maybe it's like a part of therapy. What was said?
How you gonna make this about therapy?
I'm going to though, but this is how my brain works. This is how my brain works.
All right.
Because it immediately became something of saying he told them to lock the door. They wanted him arrested for kidnapping.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, right. Oh, there was a fake news. Marvin Sapp arrested for kidnapping. Because here's the thing: if he locked the door, that's kidnapping, right? So no, he wasn't. Lean on me where he told Kid Ray, put the chains on the doors, lock the door.
Right.
He said, close the door. Right. He could have been saying close the door because there's noise. He could have been saying close the door because I want to have a serious conversation.
Right.
To eliminate distractions. But we heard, or people heard, not we, lock the doors, you can't leave. He never said any of that. Right. So it's important that we also understand what we heard.
Right.
And what was actually said.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a sensitive topic when you think about when churches ask for money, pastors ask for money, the lifestyle they live, the pockets, that the stuff they asking for. Why are you asking for this amount of money? And I just thought it was super interesting how it caught fire.
Yeah, I bet it did.
Yeah. So he has since come out and apologized, said that he was a little assertive in how he said what he said. But he did come out and say, well, I never told you to lock the door.
Okay.
Right. I did say the door is closed. You can come and go as you want. But I was having a conversation with everybody in the congregation about why we needed. No, this money wasn't coming to me. It was about an initiative that we was running and things that we were doing. And honestly, behind the curtain, that conversation around tithing, the conversation around offering, and the conversation around how much you give, when you should give, is a very serious topic, period.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that was attached to what we heard when he said what he said.
Yeah.
In the times that we're in, like, the times the economy is not the greatest, and people asking for money, and the amount of money is a sticker shock. $40,000. You know what I mean? So
what would you have done if you were in the congregation had he said that?
I would have just gave the amount of money that I had.
Okay.
I didn't have $1,000. Right. I think it was like row 2 was like $20. I would have been in a $20 row. Right. I think he asked some other folks to give like $100, depending on where you was at. Okay. He didn't exempt, the people that was, on the stage or whatever. And I think it was initially the people at home you want to give. Right.
Right.
So I think, again, he wasn't demanding that you give $1,000. That's what he wanted. Right. But at the end of the day, you can give what you have. Yeah. Right. And if you gave your 10%, that's what it is. He wasn't going to lock you up if you didn't give $1,000. Right. You know what I mean? So I think, again, we just have to be careful how the message is provided and how the message is received. And what we're telling when we leave out of a certain situation. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because, never would have made it. We listen to that all day forward. Right. But as soon as somebody makes a mistake or he offends you, now you're ready to burn him at the stake like we want to burn every other Black person.
Wow. So what do you guys think? I know that you've heard the story.
No, the memes was funny. The memes.
I haven't seen them. I haven't
posted
been on social media.
Today.
I had to look at it.
Oh man, I was hilarious.
I had to look at the memes. Hilarious. Well, yeah. What is your thoughts? Drop your comments in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are about Marvin Sapp asking for $40,000 and asking to close the doors. So what did you hear? Did you hear him say lock everybody in or nobody's leaving? Or did you just hear him?
I mean, I guess when somebody said close the door, you felt like you can't leave.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because here's when they do the altar call, You don't feel like you can get up when you pray. You're not supposed to be walking.
Right.
They won't let you come in or go out.
People do this.
Right. People do that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of that could have been a trigger too when
Yeah.
he said what he said.
Yeah.
Right. The projected order. So,
but I think too, we're just living in a time where everything is so triggering.
Yeah.
I mean, we're starting a mommy burnout group. And everything is so triggering to people. I'm serious. We starting a mommy burnout group, and the facilitator of the group, she shared it. I'm sure she doesn't mind me talking about this. She shared it with, you know, some other people, some friends, and then she got a comment back saying that it was negative. Her and her friends would feel some type of way, or they will feel some type of way if they saw that there was a group called Mommy Burnout. And it's just like, what?
But why would you be offended by that?
Right. So the facilitator, her response to her was, just because you feel that it's something negative doesn't mean that it's not happening to people.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? People are getting burnt out, you know, parents, period, not just mommies, you know, but daddies that are raising their kids by themselves, you know, whatever. They experience burnout. We all experience burnout, whether it's work burnout, mommy burnout. I don't know. Whatever burnout
so was the
you want to put
because of the
out
mom?
there, because it said burnout behind the mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what you name it. You're never going to police people.
And when did that become a thing?
What?
Everything that's labeled could be potentially offensive. And maybe it was always a thing, but maybe it's amplified now due to social media over the last. We was in the house for 2.5 years, so you know, we had room to be sensitive about everything.
Absolutely,
messaging is a problem, right?
Everything,
you know what I mean?
Is just.
But I don't. I mean, me personally, in respect to whoever was offended, right? But at the end of the day, what I also have learned is that just because you're offended doesn't mean you need to change something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
My new book, Let Them.
Let
them. Let's name the book. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and it's Let Them Be Offended.
Okay.
What's gonna happen?
You got a new book coming out for real?
Not my book.
Oh,
I'm reading a new book.
Oh, you're reading a new book. Oh, okay. I was about to get excited.
Don't have Mel come get me.
Okay.
Right? Oh, but no. So the book is called Let Them.
Let Them.
Right, and let them and let me. Right, and I think the let them piece is let people be offended. Let people go live the life that they choose.
Right.
Let them talk whatever they're going to talk.
Yeah.
Right. What does that have to do with you?
Right. Exactly.
And let you show up and be your authentic self. So, okay. Yeah. That doesn't stop anything.
Yeah.
Mommies get burnt out.
We're in this cancel culture, and I just. But yeah, y'all not well. That's a whole nother story. I ain't even gonna go there.
But I watched the video. I thought it was dope. I thought it was dope. The mommy burnout video. I thought that was cool. Yeah, I think that is cool because it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Because you can't go backwards and say, well, when people were offended to say like being a stay-at-home mom was not a job and all that other. Hell, if it ain't a job, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right. From 5 to bedtime is a job.
Right.
Right. So yeah, people get burnt out.
Yeah.
Mommies get burnt out.
It's a real thing. So what do you guys think? Drop a comment in the chat. I would love to hear your thoughts. So we have some things coming up. A lot of things that's great go on in the community for the month of April. So first up, we have I Am Built for This, Relentless 2.0, with friend of the show, family of the show, I have to say, Pastor Delisa Lewis. She is the host and speaker. You also had Pastor Tanya Hall, who is going to be speaking, and Pastor Dana Rue, who is a speaker, who is also from Word of Life Christian Center here in Newark, Delaware. So registration, $75 for early bird. This includes lunch. You can go to eventbrite.com and register. The event is happening on April 26th from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at Christiana Hilton on 100 Continental Drive in Newark, Delaware. If you have not gotten your tickets yet, this is an event you do not want to miss. Now, it was originally geared for women, but when I
okay.
spoke to Pastor Delisa, she said that
Mhm.
there are some men that do come and they have a great time and they welcome anybody. So this is not just for women, this is for anybody. So get your tickets. I am built for this. Relentless 2.0, April 26th.
Awesome.
Yes. Next up. Now, you guys have seen this brother on the Rebirth stage a few times. Eric Robinson. Eric is a licensed therapist here in Delaware, and he's actually doing breaking the code of silence, breaking generational patterns of emotional repression for men and boys. This event is for ages 12 and up. Now, listen, the first one he did, it was for men only. And let me tell you, it was amazing. My sons went, they had a great time, but this time he's opening it up for boys as well. So the breakfast part starts at 9:15 a.m. Worship is at 10 a.m. I'm sorry, workshops. I'm stuck on Marvin Sapp. The workshop is at 10 a.m. and you will not be disappointed. This is going to be at Tabernacle Full Gospel Baptist Cathedral with Pastor Mark W. Rainey Sr. on 501 Washington Street in Wilmington, Delaware. This is also April 26th, and it is free, y'all. So you see the QR code, pick up your phones right now and go ahead on and scan that. You got to reserve by April 24th. It's absolutely free. It's going to be powerful conversations designed to break barriers, build understanding, and bridge the gap between boys and men. The space is for wisdom to meet fresh perspectives, fostering growth, connection, and mutual respect. Don't miss the impact of this dialogue that they're going to be having.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna try to make this one. My sister is having a party. Everything's on the 26th, but I'm definitely trying to. It's in the morning, so I'm gonna try to make this one. But that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Eric has a powerful story. He's a powerful speaker.
He is.
Definitely will get your attention and motivate you to change some things or talk about some things at least. And the thing is to have the conversation and start the conversation from men and boys. I think that's important. So that's awesome. Yeah, so that's awesome. Shout out to them.
Yes.
And Sister Delisa. That's my girl. That's my girl.
And last but not least, we have the African Food and Culture Festival. So we supposed to be attending this.
Oh,
we
yeah?
got an invite to come out to this. Yes.
What's on the menu? Though?
By the person that's over it. So African Day Food and Culture Festival at Tubman Garriott Park at the riverfront.
Nice.
Rosa Parks Drive in Wilmington, Delaware. This is going to be May 24th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Again, another free event. So go to africanday23 at yahoo.com to get more information. And I believe they're also going to be having some type of ball that evening as well. She's going to send me the information once I get that out and share that with you guys.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'm excited. African Day Food and Culture. Have you ever had African food?
A little bit.
Okay.
I've hovered around it a little bit.
Okay.
But I'm eating that day though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that day, but I haven't had a lot of it.
I want to go and try.
Have you?
And stuff. I've had jollof.
Okay.
Did I say that right? Jollof rice.
Okay.
And I had another dish, but I don't know what it's called, but it was really, really good. A friend of mine's had made it.
Nice.
Yeah. So
we're gonna try it out.
Yeah. So we're excited about that. So yeah, thank you guys. If you guys are looking to advertise, please reach out to Rebirth Live. I'm sorry, info at rebirthlive at gmail.com. Info rebirthlive at gmail.com. Okay, I messed that up. Info rebirthlive at gmail.com if you would like to share any type of events or community events that you have coming up. Okay, so let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. I'm going to throw one more topic at, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So the other side of healing and therapy. So let's get to the therapist side. So real quick intro question. What made you want to become a therapist?
So what made me want to become a therapist was I was mentoring a young girl. She was probably about maybe 5 during that time.
Oh, wow.
And my mom actually introduced me to her. My mother was her teacher. So my mom thought that she would be a good fit for me to mentor. She was sexually abused by her mother.
Okay.
And I think the young girl at the time was living with her, being raised by her grandmother. So I we just connected, and I enjoyed it so much. Now, keep in mind, during that time, I was transitioning from the music industry and trying to find what was my new purpose.
Okay.
And I wasn't a therapist at that time, so I was just mentoring.
Okay. Okay.
But once I, start working with her, and I just fell in love, and I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Nice.
So I went back to school and got the degrees and license that and stuff that I needed to get to become a therapist.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how does that feel being a therapist? Is it fulfilling for you?
It's very
This many years?
fulfilling.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like, as a believer and someone that has a relationship with God, you always want to know, well, what is it that God wants you to be doing? What is my purpose? What is my ministry? Right. And I feel that this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I've tried different things, like we all have,
Right.
Like I said, I was in the music industry, and then I went into corporate America. So I did banking for many years. And I made amazing money in banking. However, I felt like for me, not for anybody else, but for me, there was still a void. I felt like something was missing. Like I didn't come home feeling like I made a difference.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I worked in foreign currency when I was in banking. But what I do is very, very rewarding. It is. And I had to change my mindset, because just like every social worker that comes fresh out of grad school, right? We put a cape on our back and we try to become these super social workers, right? And try to save everybody. But that's not what it's about. If you can reach one person and change, have somebody just think about something that went on in a session that could be life changing for them, then that's progress.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you think about it? Like, we've heard therapy over the years, and it's had a negative connotation sometimes, and then I think over the last at least 10 years or so, it's starting to shift a little bit, right? Therapists having a therapist, going to therapy, is becoming more of something that is a positive thing for folks, right? What are some of the still misconceptions of why people go? So, like, you have your when you have your first introductory what do you call them?
Intakes.
Your intakes, right? When people get into those intakes conversations, what are some of the fears that people have coming into those intakes conversations?
So, well, to answer your first question, is the misconception is that you got to be crazy to see a therapist, or something has to be wrong with you to see a therapist. You should be seeing a therapist even when things are going good.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like and not comparing a therapist to God, but if people are honest, people usually pray when things are bad.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? That's when people are really, join me, pray for me, y'all, all of this.
Yeah.
But do we ask people to pray for us when things are going good?
Yeah, very true.
You know what I'm saying? So, I think that's the biggest misconception, is that you have something have to be wrong with you. But just like you get a physical every year for medical, you should be getting your mental checked out every year.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So when people come into the intakes, you said what are they expecting, or what?
Yeah, like what are some of the things that they are? I think there's like a shock. Your first intake, you don't know what you're going to ask us, right? I've been to a couple intakes, right? It's like you never know what they're going to ask. I definitely judge when they come on the camera. I'm like, all right, am I going to be able to connect to this person or not? And I trust them, right? And I wonder, like, do y'all feel the same way? Like, you looking at the other person, like, and maybe you can't answer that, but like, I think naturally you be like, how's this gonna go?
I can answer that. Okay. So when I was seeing clients in the office,
that's a big
deal. First thing, when people would come into my office, they would be like, "Oh my God, you really do have the couch," and then I lay on the couch, right? Can I lay on the couch? Right, they'll lay on the couch, because when you're watching TV and stuff, you see the patient on the couch and all of that. So I always have my office is actually set up. I'm a I'm a mood person,
Yeah,
so
yeah, 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 yeah.
I like to set the tone and the environment,
Right.
right? So I it's cool. The light is low.
Okay.
You know, it's relaxing.
You have
You
a fountain in
know
there?
that I think I
No, you got some water falling in there.
but there's nice like maybe like nice music
Okay.
playing, soft music or whatever. And it's like when you come in, it's just like I'm relaxed. That's what I want them to walk into, a relaxing environment. Now, since I've been virtual for several years now, yeah, you can tell when a client logs on if they're very nervous because they don't know what to expect. So I always try to greet with a big smile and just be like, "Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon." You know, if I'm giving you good energy, that's going to roll over to you.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not okay, tell me how you feel. You know, well, how'd you feel about that? That's not who I am.
Okay.
You know, no shade to anybody that
that,
works that way, but that's not how I work. I want my clients to be able to connect to me. I want to be able to connect to them. And I'm not here to judge, to criticize, you know, I'm not here to give you your answers, right?
That's a big one.
But I'm here to guide you. And most of the time, you already know those answers. You already know. You just need confirmation or you need a little bit guidance through this thing called life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How do people know they should go and seek a therapist? Or how would you know? Right. So I think you made a good point in saying same way you go get your body checked physically.
Yeah.
You should also get your mental check.
Yeah.
Right. I think that matters. Right. What are some of the things that
I need a fan? I'm hot.
Child, where them fans at?
Yes.
You about to carry a fan just for that?
Listen.
But so what are some of the eye openers to say, hey, maybe I should probably check and see about a therapist?
Anytime where the normalcy of your everyday life, like when you feel that your baseline, I know I'm using therapy terms, but we all have a baseline that we function on, right? Mine's might be higher than yours might be lower than mine, yours might be higher than mine, right? We all have a baseline that we function on every day. Anytime that's interrupted and the normalcy of your everyday life is being interrupted through some type of symptoms that you may be having, rather as anxiety, depression, you know, insomnia, whatever those symptoms are, and it's showing up in your everyday, then that's a clear sign that something is disrupting your ability to be able to function at that normal baseline that you're used to functioning at. Gotcha. Right. Okay. And you may want to seek therapy for that, but that might not always be the case. Sometimes people are functioning well, right? But maybe there's something that's happening in their life or that's coming up in their life that is causing, you know, some things to feel a little bit different, and they want to address those things before it gets out of hand. Okay. Right. Okay. So there's no like cookie cutter reason. Right. But most people that are coming into therapy is because they don't have a grip on their everyday, the normalcy of their everyday life. Gotcha. Something is interrupting that baseline. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. I think that anytime that because I enjoy it. Right. I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it. Because you have somebody that has no real ties to the outcome outside of you getting better, right? But they don't know the story, right? They don't have a bias, right? They just want to see you get better, right? And the ability, that first intake session is always fun because I just lay it out, right? And they used to be like, I wouldn't expected all that on the first shot, right? So the intake is really only to get information from your past. Yeah. And so it sounds like you one of those people that come in and then you do your intake and your first session. Absolutely. But you know the thing is, when I go, I've already made up my mind why I'm gonna be there. Right. I'm not here to waste your time. I don't want to waste mine. Right. And I'm also assessing
if I'm going to stick with you or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, I
Mm-hmm.
think there's an interview on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm sure on your side, on the therapist side, is like, this might not be for me. Right. I'm sure you could refer, right? Maybe this person is better suited for this type of situation. Right. So I think that my my intakes are always fun. But it also turns into like the
Mm-hmm.
first session, because they'd be like, whoo, all right, Corey. Well,
Yeah.
so let's set this up.
Let's set it
You know
up.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But we become super cool.
So what makes you just to
Yeah.
piggyback?
She about to get me.
I've never referred a client that I've already did an intake
Okay.
for.
Okay.
I've never done that. You
Okay.
do you have people that do that.
Okay.
But I've never done that. Once I sit in front of you and I've done your intake, you're my client.
Okay.
Right?
Fair enough.
Now, before I went into private practice, when I worked in more of the community, we would see the cases before we did the intake.
Gotcha.
So I could read the files. And to be honest with you, a lot of those cases used to scare me to death. And this is when I worked with kids and adolescents.
Wow.
A lot of those cases would scare me to death. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you will see some devastating things in there. Like, you might have a client that threw feces on their last therapist. Like, this is the stuff that I was reading, you know, and I'm like, this ain't for me, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
But then when you meet them, it's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
Right. So I do think it is important that you have a good relationship with your therapist, and you have to have the right therapist. Now, you said that's what you're thinking. Like, when you're doing your intake and your first session, you're assessing if you're going to keep that. So what makes you determine if this is the therapist for you?
I think for me, it's always the vibe. Like, I get immediate vibes from people, right? Even when I have in my professional life interviewing people, when you sit down in front of me, I feel something.
You feel energy,
right? I feel energy, right? Ooh. So when that happens, I'm like, it also, and I am a big component of that. Your energy introduces you before you say a word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you want to be there? That's a big deal, right? If you just come, hey, yeah, you're my 5 o'clock. So, right. If you're there to what seems like check a box, or people say, collect the check, the vibe is going to be off.
Yeah.
And I may rock with 1 or 2 sessions, just because, everybody is entitled to a bad day or time frame. But if that's not, if there's no connection, I don't have a problem shifting, because you have to.
Yeah,
I think you have
absolutely.
to, right? So even to piggyback on that, I read something a couple months back that says the average person that goes to therapy goes through at least 3 therapists before they find their person. Can you speak a little bit about that? Have you heard that before? Is
absolutely.
that something? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I encourage people to interview their therapist.
Okay.
I was like, yo, your first session, ask questions. Yeah. Ask questions. I've had people ask me about where I went to college at, what did I study. I've had that, happen. So I think that if it's not fitting, then you don't waste time.
Okay.
Move on. And you may be with someone that it's fitting too well. Right. And then it becomes now like this person feels like you're a friend. Right. So those are things to look out for as well, because now your treatment may become affected.
Okay.
And you do have clients that will I don't want to say, latch on, but they will take to you, and especially if you're, pretty laid back and cool, because they look at you like, oh man, you could be my friend, somebody I can hang out with, right? But that's when you really have to put those boundaries in place. Yeah. But yeah, that I definitely feel that's pretty accurate.
So I'm gonna come back to that, because you just hit on something, if I remember. But one of the things you said earlier is like, when you used to see inpatient, right? And I know the paradigm shifted, especially we were in COVID and everybody was at home. Is there a difference between, it may be for you, or maybe you've heard this from clients, being in office versus being virtual? Is there a difference that people feel? Right. So like, I'm a fan of in person.
Right.
Just because the world is on a camera all the time. Right. But is there a difference, or have you heard people feeling like they like one versus the other?
Yeah. So when we had to go virtual, my clients were stressing.
Really?
They was just like, what? No, how you you know, because in person is more personable.
Okay.
Right. But now that they're all virtual, I can't get them to come back to the office because it's the flexibility of being able to just open your phone or open your laptop is so convenient.
For sure.
And we have less people missing appointments when it's
Fair.
virtual.
That's cool.
Right? Where if you're waiting for a client in office, they may not show up or something might come up or traffic may, they're running late. Virtual, you can just jump on, you can just pop on, right? So it's I think convenient wise, it's better for people. But then some cases you can't do virtually. Some cases you do need to be in person. And that's individually based. It depends on what that person may have going on, right? So let's say I'm working with somebody that may have extreme OCD and I want to use exposure therapy with them. I can't do exposure therapy with them virtually.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I need to be with them like one-on-one, face-to-face, rather either in office or perhaps in the community.
Okay.
Right. So I had someone that couldn't walk through the mall. She couldn't go through crowds or anything like that.
Okay.
And this was a while ago. So we would meet at the mall and we'll get in the door. And how are you feeling? Where are you? Where's your breathing? How are you feeling? Where's your stress levels? And if they were really high, then we're done for today.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to go any further. We'll try it next week. Next week we may be able to walk into Macy's. We can walk around Macy's, right? But we can't walk in the mall. And then we'll do it again until each time she gets further and further. So then finally she was able to walk through the mall, but she walked through the mall with her head down the whole time.
Oh, wow.
She never lift her head up. She walked through the mall, but that was progress because before she couldn't do that, right? So that's exposure.
Yeah.
And you're coaching them through that.
That makes sense. You talked earlier about boundaries and having boundaries, right? What are some common themes that we should think about, whether we're seeking therapy or even from your seat, boundaries that we put in place that we should put in place when having a therapist?
Boundaries with who?
So from me to my therapist, what are some common
boundaries that you would need to put in place for your therapist? I would say the biggest is to respect that that's your therapist and not your friend or not your family member. Right. And that your therapist, the only way therapy is going to work is if you want it to work. So you can't go to therapy just to say that I went to therapy. You got to go to therapy willing to be an open book and really do the work. And you also, the other boundary that you have to put in place is number one, it didn't take it it's a lot to unpack. It's not, don't expect to come to therapy and think you should be better in a week. Sometimes people need to be in therapy for the rest of their life. It depends on what they're working with. Right. And then you have some people that is, short term, but I think just being open and being available. And I don't know if this is a boundary though. I know you're asking boundary, but don't expect the therapist to fix you. The therapist is not there to fix you.
Okay. Preach.
We don't have like this special dust that we can sprinkle on you and be like, you're good. Right. You have to do the work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if that answers your question.
It does because I think that you touched on talking about friends and how respecting that this is my therapist, not my friend, right?
Right.
Especially in today's society, I think that we become very fixated. Like you think about on never before. I'm not aging myself. Even this is the year I was born. But you think about like just take entertainers, right? In the 80s, right? You seen your favorite entertainer or your favorite movie star when they showed up for an interview or they put out an album or a movie, right? And they were doing press releases or they granted somebody an interview. Today, you have their Instagram, their Twitter, they're communicating back and forth with you.
Right.
So you have all this access. So you almost feel like you know them.
Right.
Right. So I can only imagine now I'm talking to someone about things that are going on in my life.
Yeah.
And if you connect with me,
yeah,
right, we do that to our partners, right? Like, oh my God,
I know a boundary,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure we almost feel like, well,
yeah,
that's my friend. I can call you whenever I want.
right.
Yeah,
That
okay.
part right there.
Okay.
You can't call me whenever you want.
Okay.
Right. Cause and there's different tiers to that.
Yeah,
right. So I'm outpatient private practice. I'm outpatient private practice. I'm not crisis.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference, right? Some people like to have their therapist on speed dial where anything comes up that they're able to reach out to them. No, we have to put in boundaries.
Absolutely.
With that, because we are human. We have families. We have a life as well, right? But I would say one of the boundaries that we both should put in place is, especially when we're out. Delaware is small, right? If I see a client out anywhere, I'm not going to address that client. Now, if they reach out, if they say hi to me or they come up to me, then I can address them. But I'm not going to be like, hey, Corey, how you doing? And I know that you're my client.
Gotcha.
Because whoever you're with or somebody might be watching may know I'm a therapist and we're like, oh, she in therapy, right? So that's just us protecting you, right? Confidentiality. We have to protect that at all times. But if you was to come over and say, hey, Shay, how you doing? That's my therapist. That's on you if you out it, if that's what you want to disclose, right? So that's important. Those boundaries have to be important. And I always say that to my clients. When I first start with them, listen, I if I see you out, I don't be offended if I don't speak to you first. If you speak to me, I will speak to you. But I don't want to out people if that's not what they want. But and again, the other thing would be is I would say social media would be a big one. Like and this is such a small world. And to be honest, sometimes I've even had people that have already been following me, but I may not know them like that.
Gotcha.
And they end up being a client, but you're already following me on social media. So it's what I'm going to go and say, hey, you can't follow me on social media, but if some of my clients will ask me, is it okay if we're, friends on social media? And I said, well, we, I, honestly, I would rather not, and you have to put those boundaries in place because some people put a lot of their life on social media. And that can also be, a little
conflict of interest, I would imagine.
Yeah. So
well, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
This was interesting. Maybe there's another part 2 down the line. I think this was good to hear the other side of the table.
You have more to ask, but I know we up against time.
We are. So real quick, as we kind of just close out, for people that are on the fence about therapy, they've heard great things, they've heard bad things. I'm just sitting on the fence. I don't know if I should. What are some advice that you would give to those folks, real quick?
If you had a bad experience with therapy, I would say give it another shot, give it a try, right? We've all had bad experiences with people, rather it's if you're dating someone, if it's your favorite store, maybe you had bad customer service. So you have to look at, you didn't stop going to that store though, right? You may have, you just, you go to a different line, or you just don't go to the same person, or whatever the case may be. But don't give up. If you had a bad experience, try somebody different. Ask refer. A lot of my clients are being brought in through referrals, through other people that I'm already seeing. They have referred them to me, right? So if you know someone that is in therapy, ask them about their therapist. Another thing is read the descriptions. We have cliniciansofcolor.org. You can go on there, and it's a bunch of Black and brown therapists that are on there that you can read their description as to what they specialize in. Some of us put, a little bit of personal business in there just so you can relate to. You have Black and Brown Therapists of Delaware. There's so many different directories where you can go and look for a therapist, but don't give up.
For sure.
Don't give up, because it's needed. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being open to this conversation. I was going to switch it and interview you. Ayo, are you open? That was a flashback.
Shout out to Nelly and Jarrell.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit more another time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And if you want to know more about therapy or how to find a therapist, again, you can reach out, info rebirthlive@gmail.com. I will be more than happy to guide you down that road. So
Awesome.
All right.
All
right, guys. I'll see you next Monday. Until then, have a blessed week. Good night.
Good night.